It's time for That's Life with Julie, and today I want to talk books. Can I just tell you that there's very few things in life that I enjoy more than reading and books, talking books, looking at books, smelling books. I've got a Kindle, and it's nice for when I travel, and it's nice for when I see something in a magazine, a book title, and I know that I'm going to totally forget it by the time I get home in order to purchase it. And it's nice to have that in order to download, but I will never, ever, 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 as God is my witness, I will never give up books. I have three bookcases that you can see oftentimes in the background when I do my video talk with you. There are 20 boxes of books downstairs that I have attempted to unpack, and then we've had to pack back up and all that stuff. And someday, if the Lord will it to be so, I will have a house with bookshelves, and I'll be able to unload every single book that I have. And you know what? Here's the crazy thing, is I know all my books. There isn't a book on my shelf that I haven't read. Not one. And some of them, it was hard work getting through it. Others, I've read 2, 3, 4 times. And I know, for those of you who aren't book readers, you're like, you are so crazy. But book lovers understand. C.S. Lewis understood. He had an essay once about those of us who love literary pursuit. And he said that, you know, to the non-literary minded person, you read a book and you're done. It's over, you know, end of story. And for the literary minded, you experience a book, you feel a book, and you can't just do that one time. You have to read it again and again. So I have here a stack of books that I have read more than one time over the years, and I just wanted to share those with you. They're really important. Now, I know that I think it looks kind of funky when I project, like you don't read it, right? That's like backwards. Anyway, so the first is The Best of A.W. Tozer. And actually, I wish I had, it's in one of my boxes. It's The Pursuit of God by A.W. Tozer. It is an absolute must-read for anyone and everyone who claims to be a follower of Jesus Christ. Fabulous book. A.W. Tozer was a pastor in the 40s, 50s, 60s. He pastored downtown in Chicago. He had no formal seminary training, anything like that, but he taught himself. Self-taught, but really more important, the Holy Spirit taught him things about God. And that's the funny thing. That Spirit, that's what he does. He like gives understanding. It's as if it's his job or something. So A.W. Tozer, absolutely any book you pick up of his, you cannot go wrong. Another book that has really upended my life over the years is Soul Talk by Dr. Larry Crabb. Now, this doesn't come as a surprise because many of you read my hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of quotes by Dr. Crabb last summer as I was gearing up to attend the School of Spiritual Direction. But it really has impacted my life in trying to be a more curious listener and a more supernaturally attuned listener, and as men and women tell me their story and being able to speak into their lives. Okay, another one. Okay, I don't know how you were on September 11th and watching all of that, but it really upended my world. I totally went into a depression for probably up to a month afterwards. I believe with all my heart that it was the reality of what I saw that day, just as you probably saw, but it was also a spiritual element to that, and it just really, really rocked me. So I just bought every book I could find in those passing months and in the years, anything that had to do with what happened on that day, and really from the individual stories, the poignancy of those stories. And one of those books is Middletown, America, and it's an incredible book. I really encourage you to read this. It's about a neighborhood, a Middletown, one of the, I don't want to say suburbs, but outside of Manhattan, off the island. And there were so many lives that were lost, men and women there that worked in the towers, worked in that area. And it just tells the story of those families and how they, how that community worked with it, and some in good ways, some in not so good ways, and just the reality of the story and the outcome of that horrible day. All right, the next one, Anne Rule. Okay, I love Anne Rule. You know why I love Anne Rule? Because I've got this quirky, weird thing about me that I kind of like. I like reading, like true crime books, but I don't like those really gross ones that give you all the nasty details and you just feel like you need to take a shower after you read it. Anne really gets into the mind and the makeup of the victims, and not just the bad guy or bad girl, but those around them, and really helps you understand just the psychology and all of the dynamics at work in some of the horrible stories that we read about that goes on. Plus, I made my daughter Kristen read Anne Rule when she was about 14 years old, and I know every mother is not going to agree with this, but I was like, Kristen, I want you to understand that that guy that is really good looking and the one that's really smooth and suave, he could be like a total mass murderer, and you don't even know it. You know, don't be swayed by his good looks and such. So Anne Rule, totally up there. I get every book that comes out of hers. Next, fiction. I'm not a real big fiction reader. There's a few authors in here that you're going to see that are fiction. One of my favorites is Miss Elizabeth Berg, and she is from the Chicago area. Oh my gosh, if I could meet Elizabeth Berg, I think Elizabeth Berg and Bonnie Hunt, I would just die and go to heaven. Incredible fiction, and this book in particular, What We Keep, just a story of sisters and family. You cannot read an Elizabeth Berg book and walk away not just like, oh, profoundly moved in some way. Another fiction writer that I absolutely love, and you know this, it's not going to surprise you, Daniel Silva. Oh, okay, I want to meet Daniel Silva totally and just talk with him. The man is brilliant, and just have a conversation about all of this intrigue and just how he knows what he knows and who he's talking to. I mean, I know he can't tell me his sources direct, but oh, I would love to speak with him. But Gabriel Allon is the main character of Daniel's books, and he is a Mossad agent and intrigue and you know, you pick up the newspaper and you're reading things that are going on. Another nonfiction book that I absolutely recommend is Making the Corps. For any of you who may have a son or daughter that decides to go to boot camp for Marine Corps, this will let you know exactly what you're in for. And you'll be able to read it, and then you'll have to put it down at times, but it really helps you get behind the Marine Corps mindset and how they break down those men and break down those daughters in order to build up Marines. And then the final one is totally nonfiction. It's Authentic Christianity by theologian John Stott. But here's what I love is John Stott, he just passed away about 2 weeks ago. Brilliant thinker, able to take huge complex theology and in this book in particular just breaks it down into, you know, grace, mercy, and peace, free grace, a special sort of love, the reign of grace, and really breaks down complex, well, we make them complex, I think, a lot of times in Christianity and study theology and doctrine, and breaks that down in really bite-sized layperson pieces in order to help you work it out. So that's Life with Julie today with my books, and you all can just pray that someday I get that house that's lined with bookshelves, and until then I'm just going to make sure I keep reading so I have more books to tell you about down the road. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.